Well, good evening and welcome to Jefferson High School in Festus, Missouri, home to the Jefferson Blue Jays. They are going to be hosting the Priory Ravens. Ray Halbrook and Scott Latta.
You know, they're going to be fired up and be ready to go. And I know Coach Parent over there does a great job. He had a good game plan the first time around, and he caught us off guard with some things that we hadn't seen on film from him. And I'm sure he's gonna have the same stuff ready to go this week or this time around. So we got to make sure we're ready for everything they throw at us and make sure we're at our best.
Dual backs in the backfield, shotgun formation, man in motion. Quarterback rollout. He's going to keep it. Frisk into the open. 40, 50. He's got one man to beat. He's taking it all the way to the house. 10, 5. That's Frisk, baby. All the way. 63 yards. Man in motion. Shotgun rollout. He's going to throw it. Got a man wide open in the end zone, and that is a touchdown. So answer right back. Edwards, Aiden Edwards gets the 7-yard touchdown right there. Everyone else is set up as a wideout. He's going to keep it, running off the left side. He's got a big gap, and he's going to take it all the way to the house. Frisk! Cooper Frisk with his second rushing touchdown tonight. 28 yards that time. Only 28 yards. His first one was 73. Really? Obviously, these two teams are familiar with each other, matching off to start the season. But, you know, obviously big flourish for Cooper Frisk and company. 73-yard touchdown on their very first play from scrimmage.
Right.
And then, you know, a couple of touchdowns afterwards. 14-7 our score. But it's been the Cooper Frisk show as, you know, kind of a continuation of last week. Crater in the backfield. Frisk drops back, quick throw. Beeler, touchdown. Made that look easy. 12-yard touchdown pass to Noah Beeler. Blue Jays. Said in a very matter-of-fact way. Handoff. Oh, he's going to take it all the way to the house. He's got a burst of speed and touchdown. Eisenbeiss. A little bit of taunting there at the end, but he gets into the end zone. Big scamper right there for 28 yards. Crater in the backfield. A little sweep play to the left. Frisk, he's got a first down. He's trying to get to the sideline. Speed burst down the sideline. Did he step out? Touchdown is the call. It was not an initial, no initial call, but it is another long Cooper Frisk run. Frisk and shotgun. Behind him is Crater. A lot of Ravens in the box. Crater busts through. He's into the secondary, into the 30. Burst of speed. He's going to take it all the way. Touchdown, Blue Jays. 51-yard scamper. And they take the snap, take a knee, and that will be the ball game.
As you leave the facility,
Technically, I think there's like a 1-second difference between the play clock and they reset it, so they'll just let it run down. With 15 seconds to go, the Blue Jays will advance as they are victorious over the Ravens 35-13 on this presentation of Friday Night Blitz for Livestream STL on Mission TV.
Well, good Monday to everybody, and welcome to Upon Further Review. Ray Halbrook here with Livestream STL. Hope everybody's having a great Monday. We are in week 10 here of recapping week 10 here, as we also will crown a player of the week along with some honorable mentions and talk about round 2 of districts. That'll be week 11 next week coming up here. So without further ado, we'll bring in our panel of esteemed colleagues here. Matt Bates in the middle there, and we got Brian Kaplinger sitting in for Jeff Whitener today. Matt, how you doing, sir?
I am in recovery mode after a long weekend, my friend.
It was a long weekend, yeah.
I mean, any longer, and I'm sure Mrs. Livestream would have been concerned if you'd have been running around on her with me. But
right.
Hey, it was fun nonetheless. We're off and running.
There you go. There you go. B-Cap, how's it going, my friend?
It is good. I'm recovering as well, but completely different. Finally got my voice back, so that's a big
Yay.
help.
Always a help.
Right. And now I hope Jeff gets well as quickly so that he can resume all his duties.
It's coming. It's going around. You know, I mean, just that the weather change and all that fun stuff. So,
Right.
Jeff, we're thinking about you. Get well soon. Here we go with Week 10 scores, and we'll recap last week here, and we will roll through them here. Jefferson 36, Priory 13, Hillsboro 55, Sykeston 22, Oakville 28, Northwest 7, St. Genevieve 43, Herculaneum 20, St. Pius X 42, Grandview 7, North County 31, DeSoto 21, Perryville 26, Windsor 8, Lindbergh 35, Fox nothing, Rockwood Summit 49-7 over Parkway South, and same score there, 49-7 Lafayette over Parkway Central. Our bye week this week will be Festus Crystal, City, Sequin, and Eureka. And we're going to start with the Priory Jefferson game here, and I was actually at that particular game. Pretty much, you would pretty much call it a a duplicate of week 1, almost even to the score, the tune of the score, but it wasn't much of a blowout until late. So, kind of going into, that particular game, it became a problem first half for Jefferson to kind of move the ball around and stuff, but they did get the job done at the end, and Cooper Frisk goes off like Cooper Frisk does there, Matt.
Yeah, Coop do what Coop do. Talk about getting frisky. 16 rushes, racks off 252 on the ground. 15 and a half a rush, 3 TDs. Then he has a modest 4 for 9 passing for only 36 yards, but still, chucks up a TD in the process. But, and then you look at his running mate over there as well, Tyler the Road Crater, 17 carries for a $103 and a TD, but and he has 11 tackles on defense. This this was a little dicey, and I'm just going to say like maybe the first half or so, but then it just turned into the Coop and Crater show, and Priory just had no answer for him. And you saw this Blue Jay team come together, and I would say that's what happens like at halftime. You regroup, get together, come out, execute maybe a different game plan, make some adjustments, and you see the Blue Jays moving on.
Campling, you got some stuff you want to say about that game?
Well, I mean, kind of some of the same thoughts. When I went back and watched the game, I mean, really, tale of two halves, as you said, Matt. I thought it was a sloppy start, really for Jefferson. And I thought that, Priory was going to hang in there, especially, there early on. But then, what can you say about Cooper Frisk? I mean, once he decides he's going to do something, he just chooses to tuck the ball and run. And there wasn't a whole lot of option for the Priory defense. I think looking at that, you talk about Crater, even on the other side, 8 solo tackles in the game. I mean, just, once whatever adjustments they made at halftime, Jefferson, that is, they were able to really just kind of take control of the game and didn't look back from there.
Good evening and welcome to the Burrow, Hillsboro High School, located in Hillsboro, Missouri. It is Week 10, or Round 1 of District Playoffs. Tonight's game features the Class 4 District 1 matchup between the 3 and 6 Sykeston Bulldogs and the 4 and 5 Hillsboro Hawks.
Athletic team. They played Bluff a couple weeks ago. I think 3 or 4 weeks ago they played Bluff till a 1-point game. So it's a team that has the ability to play with people and play close. They've had some games that they've let get away from them. So I know it's a new coaching staff. Coach came over from a different school down there in the Boot Hills. So a guy who had a lot of success where he had been before that. I think Scott City might be where he was at before. So different staff than what we saw last year when we played Sykeston week 1. So they like to run the ball. Quarterback does a good job running the football. They got some big kids up front. So we'll be, outsized up front, but we just encourage our kids to play hard and continue to do what they're doing.
Carson Campbell. Duncan's the only one in the backfield with Chazelle. Chazell's going to keep his own number. He's going to cross the plane, and he's going to put 6 up on the board for the Hillsboro Hawks on the first drive of the game. So that'll be Gadberry off to the right. They're going to give it to him. He's going to power his way down, and there is a touchdown call for the Sikeston Bulldogs, and they will give that to number 44, Luke Gadberry, with 7:51. Help out, put a little beef on the bun, maybe a little tush push. They're going to give it to the big man. In he goes for a touchdown. Give that to the big lineman, Griffin Morris, coming in. 7 at the moment, still looking to drive. Ball's on the 10-yard line now. Snap back to Chazell. He's going to break to the outside. He's going to tuck it into the end zone and give him 6. Chazell with a 10-yard run. That'll be Pipkins going up top. Roland's going to come out. He's going to break over the 15 down to the 10. He's inside the 5. Give him 6 for number 0, Chris Duncan. 23-yard TD run. So trips nearest us. 1 up top. Roland in the backfield. Chazell could have brought it down, but he's going to float one in the end zone. That's a touchdown, Hawks. Ian Phillips, 32-yard TD pass from Chazell. Approach 140. So 100 seconds in ticking. Snap back to Baker. Give it to Gadberry. He's met at the goal line. He's going to bull forward into the end zone. Give him a touchdown. A 3-yard TD run.
Gadberry for the touchdown.
For Sikeston. 2 in the backfield. Chazell under center. Here's going to be a halfback pass. Roland going to hit his man Phillips for a Hillsboro touchdown on the halfback option. Far side of the field, there's Twins nearest us. They're going to give it to Gadberry. He's still going. He's chugging along. He plugs in, and they're going to give him a touchdown on that one of 11 yards. Snap back to Chazell. He's going to hand off. There's Duncan. He's going to break over into the 10, to the 5. That's Roland. Touchdown, Hawks. Aiden Roland with a 14-yard TD run. Wide receivers up there, 2 in the backfield. They're going to give it to Jordan. He gets the hard work, and he's going to penetrate the end zone. And that is another Hillsboro touchdown. And that is the Hillsboro Hawks taking this one 55-22 over the Sikeston Bulldogs.
We've got our second game here on live stream STL last Friday there. Hillsboro 55, Sikeston 22. Matt Bates, you had the call on that. Let's get your take on it.
Well, I think what you're seeing now is the evolution of Chazell in the quarterback role that I think it took maybe a week or two just to shake the rust off after being put into duty for the injury to Preston Brown. And I got to tell you right now, his ability to sling the ball across the yard and also, kind of Cooper frisking it, if he has to take off and run, does it as well. 10 of 15 through the air, 118 with a TD, 10 rushes for 102. But to me, it was Phillips had a great game as far as receiving goes, having over 100 yards receiving. But Aiden Roland with a modest 6 for 47 on the ground, but he threw a TD on a halfback option, had an interception and 8 tackles on defense. And the other nugget that stuck out to me was the Chris Duncan with the 15 for $172 and a TD. Basically, this was a Hillsboro team that was just torching Sikeston up and down the yard every chance they got. 352 as a team rushing. When you're getting 10.5 a carry from anybody you throw in there, that's not a bad day. And then Coach Saharsky throws Griffin Morris in on a goal line play, gives it to one of his linemen. That Griffin Morris comes in. As a former lineman, all I got to say is, and I know Jeff probably feels the same way, when coach tells you, hey, big man, go in there. And by the way, we're going to give you the ball. You're not just blocking.
Right.
You get the goosies. You get the feels. They're real. A lot to be happy about if you're Coach Saharsky up and down. I mean, the defense was there. If I'm on the other side, though, if I'm on Sykeston, I'm going home and I'm feeling like I didn't use Gadberry enough. I mean, he had a touchdown each quarter, and I think they were getting out of their own skin. I mean, yeah, the passes were there, the drops were there. Sykeston could have held their own in this thing. I don't know if you want to go blow for blow with a Hillsborough team, but I think not using Gadberry enough was, I think, if I'm on the Sykeston Bulldog side, I think that would just be one thing I would have wanted to use a little bit more to get him implemented, because he's just kind of like a utility knife up and down that offense, and then what he does on defense as well too. And they just couldn't convert and get out of their own way.
Yeah. Kaplan, you've seen some of these games over there too, at Hillsborough, and I mean, obviously there's definitely a transition period, but if I said it was going to be 2 games, and look what they stuck 55 points up on a team,
Right.
going into week 2 of districts, you got to be feeling pretty good about yourself.
Oh, 100%. And I think, Matt, you said it best. I think it's just settling in after all the injuries. I mean, you talk about an O-line that has had to shuffle around all season. And I think for the first time I think it's maybe a 3-game stretch that they've actually had the same players in the same positions on the offensive line. I know I talked to a couple parents even this week about this game, and one of them, it's Weibel, one of their guards, was just talking about how he didn't really know where he was going to play week to week at the beginning. And now he knows, hey, this guy on my right, this guy on my left, they're going to pull this way. They're going to do this sort of thing. I know how to help. And I think you saw it not only in the passing game for Hillsborough, but them being able to run the ball with Duncan and Roland. All of those guys, I think, really, are special. And then I think you said it too. Chazelle, I think, is finally just taking the reins. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's hard to follow a Preston Brown. Like, that's big shoes to fill. And then you're talking about that on, a high school level. We're not talking about college or the pro level where these teams are set in their ways and know their rhythm. You've almost got to kind of shift to the play style of your quarterback or of the skill position players. And I think Hillsborough has been able to make that adjustment. And you're seeing them, I would say, have a little bit more of an open offense, because you don't know where the offense is necessarily going to come from. They still have their staples, but they're able to spread the ball around a little bit more. And for Sykeston, I think, I know the passing game is their happy spot. They love to throw the ball, but I think you got to find a way to be more balanced. I think you got to find a way to get the ball in your special players' hands. And I think you said it, Matt. I think they got caught up in the lure of, hey, we're going to beat Hillsborough the way Hillsborough's beating us. And what happened was, as you just saw in that second half, Hillsborough said, you know what, we're done with all of this. Let's just put this out of reach, and let's just rest some of our players.
Absolutely.
And as we move along here too, Caps, I mean, some of these, what I call paper guys, like when we look at stats on paper, numbers on paper, and you see Hillsborough at 5-5, and you're
Right.
like, okay, this looks like a problem, maybe highlighted. This could be a winnable game. Hillsborough might be having an off year. You look at their 5 losses, it is to 3 Class 6 teams, a Class 5 team, and a 14-7 loss to Festus. Take away the Chaminade game, and those 4 losses are all by 8 points. You lose to Country Day, you lose to SLU, you lose to Festus, you lose to Poplar Bluff. That's big boy football.
Yep.
Right.
At a Class 4 school. And so I say, when you're going into the playoffs, and I think that's where Coach Bill, like even in week 1, was saying that this is going to be just about getting to week 9 so we can get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, a Hillsborough team that's battle tested now, look out.
Yep.
Yeah, 100% for sure.
The sun has set, the lights are on, the fireworks have started, and the playoffs start tonight as we welcome you in to Cedar Hill, Missouri, where the Northwest Lions, for the first time in 20 years, will be hosting a district matchup. I am Drake Beekman, tonight's producer for the game, as well as Mr. Todd Schumacher. Todd, it's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to be here tonight.
Well, like I said, I think we need to, offensively, I think we need to run the ball, establish our ground game a little bit better. Not that it was bad, but we relied on some kind of chunk plays and some scramble plays from our quarterback, Cohen Stark, on Friday, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we need to be a little bit more consistent there. Likewise, I think we need to be a little bit more consistent on the defensive side, limiting some of their big plays, both in the run game and in the pass game. And then if we can continue to be very solid in the special teams and limit, especially their return game, they got some explosive return guys that we were able to limit last week. And if we can continue to do that and then win some return field position, I think that'll be key for us as well. We did a really nice job with turnovers. We won the turnover margin. I think we did pretty well with the penalties, so we can continue to have to keep to do that this week. But yeah, if we can do get better in the run game and be a little bit better in the return game, I think that's going to help us as well.
Trying to get the first points of this one. Molich off left tackle. Keeps his feet moving. And he's in for the touchdown. 7-yard run by Eden Molich. Molich set to the left. Two receivers off to the left. And it's Molich again. Keeps his feet moving. And in for the touchdown. 3-yard score. And it's the second verse, the same as the first. This time he goes in from a shortage yardage, but Eden Molich picks up the touchdown. It's 13-0 in favor of Oakville.
And just moments away from putting more points up on the board.
Under a minute left to go. Under 20 on the clock. Play clock. Here's Molich, and he finishes off what he started after the 29-yard reception. He goes in for the additional yard and another touchdown to make it 20-0 Oakville.
Yeah, the run game was really the heavy factor for the Tigers in that first half. We were singing Max Bradley's praises all throughout the first half, and he really didn't get a whole lot of opportunities to show off his arm until the very end of the half right there with a great couple of passes down to get his team in that third touchdown and really, almost put the game out of reach. Like I said, the Lions, do get the ball to start the second half, so they have time and they have the opportunity to make something out of it. But for the first home playoff game in about 2 decades, it's not gone exactly how the Northwest Lions have hoped for, but still plenty of time. We'll see how the second half plays out for them.
What do you Baines goes in motion. Handoff is to Malulich, and why not? He has the first 3 touchdowns. He adds another one from 1 yard out. Dean Malulich puts another one up on the board, and it's 27-0 Oakville leading Northwest. And Stark continues to move. Can he get into the end zone? He sure will. A 3-yard touchdown run by the quarterback, Cone Stark, gets Northwest on the board with 3:03 left to go in this one. They will run off the last 45 seconds of this one. Northwest, they will end their season 5-5, splitting the last 2 games of their season, both of them to these Oakville Tigers.
Let's move on here. Our next game here, Oakville 28, Northwest 7. The Oakville Tigers get their revenge a little bit here with Northwest at their place. First time in quite a long time that Northwest has actually hosted a district playoff game, but unfortunately they dropped their 28-7, and their season's over. Unfortunately, there, Matt.
Here's the deal. You're facing the same team twice, and I already know there's a thing that people say about facing a team twice and in the same year, but twice in 2 weeks, that's a tough proposition. The Lions, when was the last time you used Northwest Lions and hosting a home playoff game in the same sentence?
Yeah, right.
They were able to do that. I mean, tough break for them. You know, Eden Malalich, modest day, 16 carries, 76 yards. But, you know, when you sneak 3 into the end zone, you can't let that go unnoticed. They just that was just tough football at the Class 6 level. And you know what? I'm gonna have to give my little good boy sticker to the Northwest Lions. They hung in there, and I can't tell you how tough it is to face a team twice in 2 weeks. And
Oh yeah,
just great job by the Lions up and down. Great year for them, and Oakville's going to have their work cut out this week against Seckman. So buckle up, buddy.
yeah, right. Brian.
Yeah, I almost felt bad for both teams in this game, knowing what's ahead of them, no matter who comes out on top. Like, it's going to be a tough task ahead of you. But, again, a lot of credit to Oakville. They took what they saw last week when they got beat by Northwest, and they made the right adjustments there. I mean, they were able to kind of contain the run game. They were able to contain even Stark throwing the ball to a degree. And so with that, they kept them out of the end zone. I mean, isn't that the name of the game, right? I mean, we just, you got to tip your cap to Oakville, but I don't want to take anything away from Coach Gerling and Northwest. I mean, you talk about, again, a 500 regular season, hosting a playoff game. That's tremendous for this program. I mean, they're, in my opinion, going up. I got to talk to a number of people that said for the first time in a long time, they were excited about going to Northwest to watch football. I mean, that was what was cool. I had people come up to me on Sunday going, "Did you know Northwest hosted a home football game?"
Yeah, right.
And
right.
we went. Like, we weren't going to go, but we had to go. And so I think, you talk about that. Again, Matt, you said it. It's hard to beat a team back-to-back in the same season, let alone week to week. And again, I think Northwest in the regular season put all their cards on the table and played probably the best game they played against Oakville to get that win. And unfortunately, it just didn't work the second time because Oakville made the right adjustments. I mean, again, they were able to contain what is kind of that, I would consider that mid-level offense. I mean, Stark can move the ball. He can run the ball. You talk about Wes Knuckles on the outside for Northwest. They're a dangerous team. And I think people need to watch out for Northwest because not only are they getting better, but they're young in the process. But again, a lot of credit to Jacob Baines for Oakville. I mean, did what he had to do. Max Bradley didn't have to sling the ball around the yard a whole lot, but he made it count. I mean, 9 of 12 is nothing to sleep on. And so they just did what they needed to do to win the game. And so again, hopefully they can go out and kind of do the same thing to Seckman, but that's a different beast right there.
Yeah. To tell you the truth, two things here. Coach Gins is really good at making adjustments, and this particular game wasn't a game like what Jefferson had to deal with, where you're playing the team from week one. You played them last week, so the task is probably 10 times harder to be able to try to do that again and to even come close to to keep the game close, and unfortunately it didn't work out that way. So the other thing is we want to give a shout out to the Hartle family that allowed us to come out and speak this week for the Northwest Lions. They had a spaghetti dinner over the weekend, or the middle of the week this past week, and invited us out to me to speak, and some of our reps from Livestream STL. Matt was out there as well, and had some family out there as well. And so we want to really just say we appreciate that. We've never had that happen before, so that was kind of a treat, So lots of fun there, Matt. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, and again, you know what, that this vibe that you're talking about, Ray and Brian, this is the same thing you're seeing trickling down to Windsor and to DeSoto.
Yep. On
down where
and Crystal City
schools, on down where you're going to be relevant again. Crystal City, had the coaching change, and they didn't really have to recreate a new vibe. They had to just make sure they had a program that was still viable and running.
Right.
But the identity of like your Windsors and your DeSotos to just not be a patsy on the schedule anymore, and where you're 5-5 and you see like a Northwest now hosting a playoff game. There's a lot to be jazzed about, and I got to tell you right now, if you're a Northwest fan, this cranks your tractor for next year. This is go time. So, you end the season, on I'm going to say a high note. The way you got into everything and the way the season ends, well done, Lions. And again, a lot of these teams that might have had their season ended still have a lot to be proud of.
Absolutely. Oh, and we'll add Perryville to that list too. Just absolutely turning their program around as well, and we'll talk a little bit about that coming up here. Let's finish up our Week 10 scores, and I'm having some problems with my videos here, so I have to consistently add a new one. So give me just a second here. Here it is again. There we go. Let's just kind of pick one or two here and move on. But any of these games here, I thought the North County DeSoto game was a reputable one for DeSoto. Grandview unfortunately runs into Pius, and Pius, the battle-tested Pius Lancers. So there, Herculaneum loses to St. John, but got a few touchdowns involved there. But give us a game or two here, Matt.
Well, I'll start with the Perryville-Windsor game. Yeah, Perryville 26-8, and yes, it was an 18-point win, but this was 14-8 with about 5 left in the third quarter, and Perryville, lucky knocks out a 57-yard TD pass. Pirates had a balanced rush pass. They 146 on the ground, 143 through the air. Windsor again, Coach Freeman, he got his 50 rushes in, so they had the ball, but when WC3 and Logan Wilson, they combine for 50 of those carries, but can only get about 115 collectively on the ground. The other thing that sticks out for me in that game, is 3 of 15 through the air. So 12 incompletions and only 61 yards. So just a catch here or there, I think could have maybe lit up the eyes on the Perryville Pirates just a touch. But I thought that game was interesting. And, Windsor again goes to 4-6. Great season for them. And then you turn around, you see DeSoto losing at North County. That was only a 10-point ball game. And Austin Missy was just torching the North County Raiders. So that's going to be a setup for next week's Festus game. So we're going to have to see how North County responds. They've beaten DeSoto twice during the season. Okay. But they're going to have to put on the big boy pants as they face Festus next week. Those were the two other biggest games I think that stood out to me. And, Grandview, took one on the chin from Pius. But, yeah, battle-tested indeed.
Mr. Kaplinger.
Yeah, I'm going to head to the Rockwood. I've been around the Rockwood district. I've been around that all year. And you talk about Rockwood Summit. Again, not facing a juggernaut in Parkway South, but Branscombe out there, 284 touchdowns. You've got Bell, 6 for 139, a touchdown. And then Tiller, 9 for 93 with 3 touchdowns. That offense is legit in Summit. And I think they're going to put up a test when they go to face Lafayette. And then you talk about Lafayette on the other side. You got Beal out there, 206 too, but he was able to kind of just sneak away after that. And the young man that's headed to Northwest and Robbie Preckle, he still is just a tremendous receiver out there. And so it's going to be fun to watch. My big question mark for Rockwood Summit, even watching this game against Parkway South, is can their defense hold up? That's probably the weakest part of their team this year in that regard. They just seem to, give up too many yards. And when you're going to face a team like Lafayette that can run and throw the ball, you're almost looking at like this gunslinger type of game. They're both going to have to be on their A game. And I've said it the last time I saw Summit and the last time I saw Lafayette, I think those are probably two of the premier offenses in the Rockwood district. So it's going to be a fun one to kind of see. And for this game here, I think, if you will, it's just really who's not going to turn the ball over. And so far, both Branscombe for Summit and then Beal on Lafayette, they've done a tremendous job of just containing and protecting the ball. And you see it, both of them with monster wins in the first round. I think both of them are eyeing Eureka, if you will, because both of them have lost to them. Rockwood earlier in the season, or Summit earlier in the season, and Lafayette as well. And so they both have something to fight for as they go through the playoffs. And so for me, I'm kind of keeping an eye on both of those schools. I thought their opening playoff rounds, big statements for them, especially on the offensive side.
It's time for our Upon Further Review Player of the Week, and it is Cooper Frisk from the Jefferson Blue Jays. Cooper, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Ray. How are you?
Good, good. I've heard that this was one of your goals this year, was to be one of our Upon Further Reviews Players of the Week, and so well, it took to week 10, but we'll take it, right?
Right. Yeah, I'll take anything, man. It's a blessing. It truly is. I mean, there's I've been waiting for it, man.
Awesome, awesome. So we're gonna give you your due, because you've been on the honorable mention for a long time, off and on. You and Mr. Weiss together,
Right.
sometimes even. But this week, 4 for 9 for 36 yards. Well, that does that seem like that's not a big deal? But it's a touchdown, so we'll take that.
Yeah.
But 16 carries, 252 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns total in your game against Priory. And it is extremely difficult to beat the same team twice in the same year, and you guys pulled that off. So tell us a little bit about the game from Friday night.
My O-line played an outstanding game from finish to start to finish, whatever. And I mean, the pushes we were getting all night, and then Tyler had a monster game. We had basically our script was they had about 5 to 6 dudes following Landon the whole game. So whenever they gave me the option to pull the ball from Landon or just fake the ball to Landon, that helped out a ton to get me more yards, just because they were so focused on Landon moving in the backfield. Because, I mean, who wouldn't? So, I mean, there wouldn't be anything without that. And then my O-line playing a great game, and Noah having an amazing game too at receiver. He's starting to figure things out, and I'm super proud of just all my guys. It sucks to see Carson go out too in the early game, because he's a big contributor to our team, and we're going to need him back this week.
Yeah, you just got him back, and he went down again, and so you got to deal with the dings and the dents and all that time from time to time.
Yes, he's a very unlucky player. I was talking to him about that on the bench too. I just told him he's super unlucky. I just said, I'm praying you're back for week 10, because we're going to need every single piece of our puzzle to beat this Bowling Green team.
There you go. So let's talk a little bit about you. You're a junior this year. Let's talk a little bit about college. Have you thought about college?
Not a lot, but I just reached out to a couple schools, and I mean, I'm just looking for what I can get as of right now. But I know senior year I can take it more seriously. I know, like, just to start doing more and more and more, and going to more camps and getting my name out there. And I know my coach has connections all around, so it helps out a lot. I know a lot of people don't go to R7 to look for football guys, but I'm looking to be one of the ones that they come look for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're going to get some looks. So
I hope so, man.
Good luck to you on that. But you got a year to think about that and all that fun stuff. But
right.
Let's talk a little bit about the game here Friday night. You've got a big task here with Bowling Green. What do you know about him?
The film that I've watched is that literally the center is on the ball from out of the huddle 5 seconds before anybody else is out of the huddle, and they have a second, and then the play is off. Wow. So our defense is going to have they're going to have to play a very tough team that's going to take it to them every single play, because they do not run out of gas. And I know that their QB is very elusive, and he's a really good QB. But I think as long as literally we do our jobs and do our assignments the whole game, we should be able to come out this with a W and see who we play next week. So.
All right. Well, you know a little bit more than the norm going into, and you haven't had practice yet. So good luck to you, and congrats on being Player of the Week. I know that is a big deal to you. So congrats to you, sir.
I truly appreciate it.
Awesome. That's Cooper Frisk from the Jefferson Blue Jays. It is now time for our honorable mentions segment, and they are as follows. From Hillsboro, Aiden Rowland, he had 1 rushing touchdown, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception, and a partridge in a pear tree. Oakville, Eden Mulalik, 16 rushes, 76 yards, 3 touchdowns. From Herculaneum, Clark Struckoff. How about that? We haven't heard that name yet this year. So how about that? 11 rushes, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Kudos to Clark. And then Jefferson's Tyler Crater, 100 yards rushing, 1 touchdown, and 11 tackles on the game for week 1 of playoffs here as we pop back up here and, pick a player there. Haven't heard of that Struckoff guy. I was just gonna say there's a silver lining for the Herculaneum Blackcats. Number one, not going over, but going through whatever they've gone through. Just kind of a dreadful season, unfortunately. But a little silver lining there for Clark Struckoff.
Yeah, I would agree, Ray.
That's the part where you totally tell me yes. Yeah, that's great there, Matt. Appreciate that.
But I agree. The dark cloud, silver lining. We could easily just. I think I say this about every other week. You could go down and cherry pick all the best stats that you want, but when you look at a team that's had to overcome like what Herkies had to do, and and then to have the mass exodus and try to regroup. You gotta, take the good with the bad, and to be able to, identify a guy on a Black Hat team that has had some tough sledding, knocks out 100 on the turf, and again, I think it's just recoup, regroup, and look to next year. But I think the one that kind of sticks out to me is Eden Mulalich up there at Oakville. That I think for the Tigers to have a chance against Seckman, it's gonna be on Big Moo up there to, have some tough sledding, put some tough yards together, and keep the Tigers offense on the field and figure out how to make that Seckman defense work.
Yeah, you're 100%. Yeah, 100% correct there, Matt, on that, or Mulalich. But for me, it was the standout for me was Trevor Crater. Just a tremendous job. I know Frisk kind of stole the headlines as far as stat wise, offensively in that game, but what he was able to do on both sides of the ball. You're talking about a young man that runs out there, puts up 100 yards, and then on the flip side has 11 total tackles. I believe 8 of them were solo. And so, hats off to that young man in a big game for Jefferson. Again, they're another team that's been dealing with a lot of injuries. And so to be able to play both sides of the ball and to succeed in that manner, I got to give him a lot of credit. I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, you look at that Jefferson triumphant out there with Coop and with Weiss and Crater. Very comparable to what you see with Phillips, Rowland, and Chazelle now over there at Hillsboro.
Right.
That, if they can collectively keep the wheel turning, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with up and down whoever they face next. And they're going to have their work cut out against Bowling Green, I can tell you that.
All right, it is time for our Week 11 schedule, and we are getting down to the nitty gritty, guys. There's only, probably a dozen cousin here left in our area here. A little buzz through him real quick here. Oakville is at Seckman. Will be on Livestream STL. North County, it's Festus, also on Livestream STL. And Washington at Eureka. Those are our big 3 there for our triple header. Other games, Jefferson will be traveling to Bowling Green. Malden traveling to Crystal City. Hillsboro is at Perryville. And St. Pius is at Herman. I know I accidentally left one game off there. That would have been the Rockwood Summit Lafayette game too. So that will be a knockdown drag out game there. But guys, which game you want to talk about here, Matt?
Well, honestly, as I was looking at the schedule and I was just kind of making my notes, it just seemed like every game I was going down, I was underlining the home team as winning these, and then I get down to Hillsboro and Perryville, and I get to St. Pius and Herman, and that's 2 wins in Herman out there in wine country. But you look at Hillsboro and Pius both, and the comparison to me, I think, is still just the same. I think the words that we've been using is battle tested for both these teams, to where I don't think you could have a wrong answer in any game. I mean, if you want to take Perryville 9-1 at home, which it's been a number of years since you've talked about a very successful winning Perryville Pirate program. But I think, again, you look at the way Hillsboro's been tested, the way Pius has been tested, where you can look at those 5-5 records, and I think that could be smoke and mirrors, to where it would not surprise me if Hillsboro and Pius can both win on the road. But, I mean, I look at Oakville Seckman, North County Festus, North County, you look at their wins, 2 over DeSoto. They eked out a 14-12 win over Windsor. So, and they got blasted by Festus 31-0 back in week 4. So I don't think there's going to be much that North County's going to learn, because Festus has just got too many weapons. So right now, I would say if I was a betting man and I had to make a bold prediction, I would just say all the home teams are going to win.
Mr. Kaplinger.
Yeah, I mean, some similar thoughts. I think of our main 3 games, the home teams are in the driver's seat right there all the way. The only sneaky thing I think with Eureka is you've got that bye, which can be a good thing, but also can be a bad thing on a lot of levels, as far as some of the rust that's there that can build up. I know Coach Sumner's going to have this team ready, but Washington can be sneaky. I think it's kind of the same game plan for Washington and Oakville simultaneously, in the sense that it's going to be control the ball, keep the other team's offense off the field. The only difference is, I think, for Washington, you're going against a very stingy defense in Eureka. I mean, Eureka's defense has been one of the tops all season long, and so you really have to get some turnovers there. The other one for me, I think you hit it, Matt. I think a 5-5 Hillsboro team has something to prove. I think that they're going to kind of walk into Perryville, and maybe my big bold prediction is, again, I think they win this game by 20 plus points.
So you're picking
Hillsboro.
You're picking Hillsboro to beat Perryville.
Yes,
I am as well. So I'll go with I don't know if I'll go quite 20 points, but I think I'll go with I try to bet a little more conservative, so kind of is what it is. But
it's supposed to be bold, man.
Bold prediction.
I know. Underline. Put it in italics.
The only other game, the only other game that I'm a little worried about, Malden and Crystal City. You hope Crystal City, they have the week off last week with the bye and everything, but you just hope that they didn't get a little too lazy. Or wanting to overlook a Malden team there. So,
I think a 1-8 Malden team coming to Crystal City, they're already going to have a tough road to travel anyway.
Right,
the long drive to get to Crystal City. 1-8, to me that's just execute the game plan, and I think Coach Sims will have the Hornets more than ready. And the ironic thing is I was just going to say, when you were talking about the bye week, I was looking at the 3 games that we have on our schedule. And all 3 teams that we're covering are coming out of the bye week. And so I was just like, you know what? Teams like your Seckmans, your Festuses, your Eurekas, to me, that just seems like teams that weren't decimated with injuries, that to where, again, it was just, I think as we call, what is it, like a maintenance week or something like that,
right,
to where,
right.
You look at a Hillsboro, they're trying to use bye weeks and off weeks to – to get just players healthy so they can figure out who they're going to put in the lineup. Right. When you've got like your Seckmans, your Festuses, your Eurekas, where, you've got everybody on board and everybody's just basically just healing to have a better week. To me, and really it's almost like 2 weeks off with that bye week since the last time you played. So I got to say, it's going to be interesting to see how these teams come out ready to play. And Caps, I was going to ask you, because you've been covering Eureka, what is it going to take to get to the Wildcats? To me, the only thing I can see is the Wildcats getting in their own way is going to be the way the Wildcats would lose a game.
Yeah, and that's why I say I think it's going to be turnovers for Washington. You have got to turn the ball over, which, I mean, it sounds simple, but when you talk about a well-coached team in Eureka, they just don't give you the ball. Kodak does not put the ball on the ground. He runs over you, does a good job of covering up. You talk about Casey Hobelman. I mean, if I'm remembering correctly, only one turnover on the season from the quarterback's side. So, I mean, that's why I say it's a tough task because it's not fun going against their defense. Again, when you look at the roster, and I'm not talking about stats, just look at the roster lineup, both sides of the ball for these young men in the trenches, I think average 6'4", like 275 on both sides for Eureka. I mean, you just have a difficult time getting by either side of those. And then you throw in, their linebacking core, and you throw in an Ashby on the defensive end and a McCullum on the other side. And I mean, it's just hard to get chunk plays if you're not doing something special.
Agreed. Well, that wraps things up for our week 10 of Upon Further Review. Catch us. We will not have the post game anymore. The rest of the season here, our post game is done, but we do appreciate the coaches that have called in and given us stats and given us your time. We appreciate that. But we will be back next week again for Upon Further Review for catching up on week 11's results, and we'll be down to the nitty gritty at that point, guys, and should be a lot of fun here. So for Ray Halbrook, for Matt Bates, for Brian Kaplinger, all of us here at Upon Further Review, have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching today's broadcast. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without the express written consent of Livestream STL is strictly prohibited.